So today we thought we'd introduce you to somebody you probably don't take too much notice of. So we do have a few small animals that can be quite hard to see, and so they tend to get lost in the centre with obviously things like the lemur about. People are more likely to see these guys than they are to see this little guy here. So this is Ami, and Ami is a Japanese fire-bellied newt. Now Ami is quite the character, so he looks like he's quite boring to look at, and a lot of people will just walk past him, but Ami is actually quite the character. So he has all sorts of personalities about him. So in the mornings when we switch his light on, so he's just in a tank, he has a little, just a bulb up the top just to make it daylight for him. And when we switch that on, he'll usually wave at you in the morning, so he's two little front feet. He'll just move them backwards and forwards. It's almost like a little queen's wave. And he's staring right at the camera right now. He thinks he's going to get a worm, so as soon as he sees us, he does recognise keepers. He will start begging at the glass like this, and this is his feed me. So Ami, he was actually somebody's pet in Orkney, so he was bought from the pet shop many years ago, and he was a pet for a long time. He was kept in a small plastic container, and he actually lived with Moto, who lives on the bottom tank here. We did split them up because although they were sold as the same species, they are completely different species. So this guy is a lot smaller, and actually Moto could actually have eaten Ami, so we did split them up straight away. And his previous owner, she was a very nice lady. She thought that he didn't like to swim because he never went in the water, but in fact Japanese fire-bellies are nearly fully aquatic, so he does have a small patch of land up here where he can go and bask out of the water. Most of the time you'll see him swimming about, so he actually does love to swim. He's never had that opportunity with the small amount of water, and mainly due to the fact that Moto was in the water as well, so because he sensed a predator he wasn't going to go in too much. And he does actually have two toes missing on his front foot, so this foot on the left hand side actually is missing most of its toes, and that is probably due to damage that was possibly done by Moto, and we don't know that for sure. He is approximately 18 years old, so he doesn't look like he is, but this guy is older than most teenagers, and he will live hopefully with us for another 12 or so years yet, so their lifespan's about 30 years if they're well looked after. And Ami is a real sweetie. We actually have become very attached to him. We didn't think so when we first agreed to take them on. We've not really done too much work with newts before, so this was a first for us as well. But he is a proper personality, and he is great in the morning, greeting you with his little wave. We feed him on earthworms, so this is the only thing that Ami will eat. We've tried him on all sorts of other stuff and he just refuses it. So we actually have a nice lady who brings us earthworms when she digs up some for her chickens, and this is what we use for Ami and Moto for their dinners. And he just gets fed about once every other day, and that's plenty. And Ami can take quite a big earthworm, so he's got quite an appetite on him, and he actually grabs it and then he'll shake it in his mouth to make sure he kills it, and then he'll eat it whole, a bit like a snake. And he can tackle a fair size as well, and he is quite funny when he's feeding. If we try and feed him with the phone, it's just not going to go well, I don't think. Knowing me, it will drop into the tank, so we're not going to try that today. Here we go, zoom in on him. So in the wild, the watercourses that Japanese fire-bellies live in are quite polluted, and the waters of Japan, and their skin is actually toxic when they're wild caught. So luckily for captive bred like these guys, that toxin isn't present, or is suspected not present. We however are quite careful, so we do handle Ami with gloves. We don't get him out with bare hands just in case that toxin is still present in his skin. And the toxin is quite severe, so if you were to come across one of these guys in the wild and accidentally touch their skin and ingest anything that you've touched, it is actually fatal, so there is no known cure for the neurotoxin that they produce. But that is just wild specimens, so Ami is a lot safer. And you can tell that they're toxic. Obviously the colour of his belly there, it's quite red They can be a lot redder than Ami as well. Ami's quite an orange Japanese fire-bellied newt. He's not a great swimmer. He's just swum around the front and then decided to prop himself in his plants here. He's only just kind of learnt to swim because he's never been able to do it before, so this is his first opportunity at really having a good swim about. He has been with us for a couple of years now, so he has got better at swimming, but he's still a bit klutzy when he's doing it. So hopefully next time you come to the centre, you can come and meet Ami. You usually find him where he is now. He kind of hovers in his weed, and he usually will come to the glass with a bit of tempting. He'll usually come out and say hi because he is quite curious. He's disappeared now. And Ami lives just next door to our lemur. So if you come in down, you'll be able to find him in the tank here at the side. And Ami is available for adoption as well. He has been adopted a couple of times by people that have managed to catch his hilarious character when he's been out and about. So hopefully we'll see you down at the centre soon, and if you get stuck you can always ask one of the keepers and they'll come and help you find this little guy because he can be tricky to see sometimes.